My fiancée, Sloane Harrington, looked at me across the marble kitchen island and said, "My friends think you're not impressive enough for me." She didn't blink when she added, "I should leave you." The words didn't sound emotional. They sounded rehearsed. I stood there holding 2 glasses of wine I had just poured for us. My hand didn't shake, but something inside me did. "Sloane, what does that even mean?" I asked quietly. She exhaled like this was a conversation she had already finished in her head. "It means they see things I didn't want to admit," she said. "They think you've plateaued. They think I've outgrown you. Let me ask you something. If the person you were planning to marry said something like that to you, would you argue, or would you listen carefully to what they were really revealing?" I set the wine glasses down slowly. Not because I was calm, because I didn't trust my hands anymore. "We've been together for 4 years," I said. "You didn't think that 3 months ago when you said yes." Her jaw tightened slightly. "That was before I started seeing things more clearly." "Seeing what?" "Your limits." The word limits landed harder than the insult. It wasn't anger in her voice. It was evaluation. I had met Sloane Harrington at a charity event in Greenwich, Connecticut. She had that quiet confidence that came from never needing to prove anything. Her father was a well-known investment banker. Her social circle was curated, polished, and brutally observant. I was not from that world. My name is Nolan Prescott. I built a logistics consulting firm from scratch. No inheritance, no connections, just work. And for 4 years, that had been enough for her. "What changed?" I asked. She hesitated for the first time. "They asked me a simple question," she said. "They asked me if I saw you as the man you are now, or the man you might become. And I realized I don't know if you're going to become anything more than this." There was not just doubt, disappointment. "You think I'm stagnant?" I asked. "I think you're comfortable," she replied. "And comfort isn't attractive where I come from." I nodded slowly, not because I agreed, because I was starting to understand something deeper. This wasn't about her friends. This was about how she saw me now. "Do you want to leave?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately. She looked around the apartment, the same apartment she had called home. "I don't want to make the wrong decision," she said carefully. "That's not what I asked." She looked back at me. "I don't know." Silence settled between us. Heavy, uncomfortable. "I think you do know," I said. She swallowed. Then she nodded once. "I think I need space," she said. Space. That word people use when the decision is already made, but they don't want to say it out loud. "Take it," I replied. She seemed surprised by how quickly I said it. Maybe she expected resistance. Maybe she expected me to fight for her. But I didn't, because something had shifted, not in her, in me. Over the next few days, Sloane moved her things out slowly. Not all at once. Just enough to make the apartment feel emptier each time she left. Each trip was polite, controlled, careful. We didn't argue. We didn't cry. We didn't even raise our voices. It was worse than that. It was clinical. Her friends started appearing more often during those days. Vivian Aldridge, Margot Thornton, people who always smiled at me with a kind of distant approval that never felt real. Now I understood why. They didn't see me as a partner for Sloane. They saw me as a phase she hadn't outgrown yet. One evening, I walked into the apartment earlier than expected, and I heard voices in the living room. Sloane wasn't alone. "He's just not in your league anymore," Vivian was saying. "I know," Sloane replied softly. "You deserve someone with presence," Margot added. "Someone who command a room." I stood there in the hallway, listening. "And what does Nolan command?" Vivian asked. There was a pause. "Stability," Sloane said. The way she said it made it sound like a weakness. That was the moment something inside me stopped trying to hold on. I stepped into the room. All 3 of them turned. "Am I interrupting?" I asked. Vivian smiled immediately. Too quickly. "Oh, Nolan, we were just evaluating me." I finished. Sloane stood up. "Nolan, it's not like that." "It sounds exactly like that," I said calmly. No anger, no raised voice, just clarity. "Look," Margot said, crossing her arms. "This isn't personal." "It always is," I replied. "Let me ask you something. Would you defend yourself in that moment? Or would you let people reveal exactly who they are without interrupting them?" I turned to Sloane. "You agree with them, don't you?" She didn't answer immediately. "That's not fair," she said. "That's not an answer." Her silence was. I nodded once. "Then I think we're done here," I said. Her eyes widened slightly. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not going to compete for approval from people who already decided I'm not enough. That's not what this is, she insisted. It is now, I replied. And then I walked out. No dramatic exit. No slam doors. Just a decision. The next few weeks were quiet. Not peaceful. Just quiet. I focused on my work. Long hours. Focused thinking. Not to prove something to her, but to remind myself who I was without her perspective shaping it. Then something unexpected happened. One of my largest clients, a private logistics firm in Scottsdale, Arizona, reached out. They wanted to expand aggressively, and they wanted me to lead the strategy. It wasn't a small opportunity. It was the kind of move that could change everything. I accepted, and I relocated, not as an escape, as a decision. 6 months passed. My business grew faster than I had anticipated. New partnerships, new visibility, new rooms. Rooms where no one knew Sloan Harrington. Rooms where no one had already decided who I was. One evening, I was attending a private networking event in Scottsdale, and that's when I saw her. Sloan, standing across the room. She looked the same, elegant, composed, but something in her expression had changed. Uncertainty. She walked toward me slowly. Nolan, she said. Sloan, I replied. There was a pause. You look different, she said. Doi. She nodded. There's something stronger. I didn't respond to that. I heard about your company, she added. You've done really well. I've been busy, I said. She hesitated. I think I made a mistake, she said quietly. There it was. The moment most people imagine differently. The apology. The realization. But something was different. Not in her. In me. Which part? I asked. She frowned slightly. What do you mean? The part where you listen to your friends, I said. Or the part where you agree with them? She didn't answer. I was influenced, she said after a moment. No, Opia. You were convinced. Her eyes softened. I didn't see your potential. That's not the problem, I said. The problem is you stopped seeing my value the moment it didn't impress the people around you. Silence again. I miss us, she said. I looked at her. Carefully. Honestly. I don't, I replied. The words surprised even me. But they were true. I miss who I was when I thought I had to prove myself to keep you, I continued. But I don't miss that version of me. She blinked. I've changed, she said. I believe you, I replied. But I've changed too. Another silence. This one felt final. I hope you find what you're looking for, I said. And then I walked away. Not because I was angry. Not because I wanted to prove something. But because I finally understood something simple. The right person doesn't measure your worth through someone else's opinion. And the moment they do, the relationship is already over. Audience question. If someone you love started seeing you as not enough because of other people's opinions, would you fight for them or walk away the way Nolan did?